Greetings out there. Welcome to Culture Shock, a show where we delve into why we are the way we are and why we do the things we do, particularly with regards to evolution and change in our personal selves and our environment around us. Today, we'll be taking a look at the 9-to-5 life versus the entrepreneurial life. What side do you belong on? Where would you thrive more? I mean, those in 9-to-5 field, they might be better on their own. Those in the entrepreneurial field think, maybe I need to get back into paid employment. We don't know. So to help take a look at that today, I have some friends with me. So first, I'd like to welcome Dr. Seun Akinbohun. She's a multi-potentialist. She'll tell us more about that in a few. I have Enimien Inegbedion. She is a serial entrepreneur. And Tolagbe Martins, she's a consultant. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this. I mean, everybody's out there looking for work-life balance, looking for that satisfaction. So, can you find it 9-to-5? Can you find it as an entrepreneur? So, I have two entrepreneurs with me and someone who works in the corporate world who has also been on, everybody here has been on the other side of the divide and, so then positioned to let us know about this. So first, multi-potentialist. Is that the, educated way as doctor of saying opportunist?
No. To put it make it very short, what I like to explain to people is that when I die, when the time comes, far time away, I will die empty of all my talents. So it just means that I have multiple talents and I'm exploring all of them.
And then
basically,
you're not leaving this earth without everything being empty. Wow, basically. That's interesting. I like that. But like your organs as well, can they empty that? Well, anyway.
Anything is possible.
Anything.
Anything is possible. I say that I solve problems for a living. So whatever problem you have, chances are that I can solve them.
Fantastic. Yeah. And the serial entrepreneur, as in everything's business.
Yes, I believe that you should have multiple streams of income.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Exactly. So right now I have 3 businesses.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, and I help women start their businesses as well. So, yeah.
Do I help men start their businesses?
No.
Okay. But do you hire men? Like, in case I want to work for one of these businesses?
If you have
if I'm in touch with my feminine side?
No, if you can get work
just
done.
Like get work. That's right. So consultant, who do you consult for?
So at any point in time, I'm consulting for municipalities, which is a fancy way of saying sub-government, government-related entities. I consult for businesses and I consult for individuals. So, and what does a consultant do? Much like what Seun said, which is we work with you to identify your problems. Oftentimes you've come with an issue, and we just help you to develop a roadmap or a set of strategies to address those problems.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. We all could do with some consulting in our lives. In all spheres of where we work. So what? So you're living the entrepreneurial life right now, and you say look, for you, there's so many channels. You're trying to plug everything. Look, everything is in me. So why do you think? I don't know. Why do you think? You probably know why you lead the entrepreneur over the 9-to-5. You don't like knowing that every end of the month there's a check coming in.
I left 9-to-5 not planning to be an entrepreneur. Okay. It was just time. It was the time I'd already said from the time when I finished uni, I already said I was going to retire. I always said I was going to retire from investment banking at 30. Okay. And I wasn't even 30 when I left. Or was I? No, I wasn't. But I just got to the point where I thought that my job was taking my entire time. There was no work-life balance. There was nothing. It was work. It was messing with my mental health, if I could put it that way. Because I couldn't even separate. You couldn't call me at work. It's work. I'm working. You know what I mean?
Long hours.
Long hours. I'm in the office from 6:30. Sometimes I'm in the office till 11 p.m. I always had an overnight bag packed in my office. So pretty much get to the office at 7 and 9 a.m. I'm on a flight to London because work. And then I had, yeah. And then I started having kids, and I thought, okay, this cannot work. Actually, it was before I had kids. I just gotten married, and I thought, okay, this cannot work. If you start having children now, this thing, got to find a way around it. And I also knew that there were many other things that I wanted to do that I couldn't quite do in the corporate setting. So because I had this multitude of talents, I couldn't do everything I wanted to do being an investment banker. That was all I could do.
Yeah, you're kind of bound by it.
Yeah, so I was interested in HR. I was interested in customer service. I was interested in so many other things, but I started out as a portfolio manager. That's what I was going to do, and that was that. So that was why I made the switch. Now, I did sort of in between go back for 6 months, but...
This was how many years after?
This was about 3 years after I left. I went back. About 4 years or so, I went back. I only lasted for about 6 months. It may have been wrong company, wrong whatever, but it just didn't.
But you just got like a refresher.
Yeah, it just didn't work out. And I just thought, okay. I mean, there are times when I wake up and I think, oh, God, you know what? Maybe I should just go back to 9 to 5 and be getting a paycheck at the end of every month. I don't have to worry about so many things. But, yeah, where we are now.
So, yeah, you? Like, why the serial entrepreneur?
I think I kind of fell into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I was working at Ericsson, and I sort of developed a love for photography.
While at Ericsson?
Yes,
were you taking pictures in the office?
So I was on a management program, and we traveled to different countries. Okay. So everyone had a camera, so I was like, well, I might as well get one. And we were going to really nice places. So I was taking pictures, and then I found a website where you could upload pictures to, and they would critique your pictures.
Oh, okay.
It was called Shutter Chance. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yeah, so I used to upload a picture a day, and people would come and be like, your pictures are so amazing. I was like, really? Really? And, that's how I discovered that I had a talent for photography. And eventually people started calling me to do work for them. And then one end of the month like this, I think I got more money from my photography than my salary.
It's like, okay, that's it.
Apart from that, then I was now getting stressed at work, and I was having a really hard time with my boss. I wonder if he watches. But yeah, it was just kind of like everything just came together, and I was like, I don't need this anymore. And that's why I always advise people is like, if you want to shift, kind of do a small test. Sometimes you can jump into it if you have a nest egg saved, but if you get to the point where you can live off your entrepreneurship, then you can quit your job. Okay. So that's what I decided to do.
And then so like that same hunger for the photography, you just started finding it, and other passions just started coming up.
Exactly. So with photography, you start editing pictures, and you discover that, okay, I'm good at editing. And then, it's computing, the world has become digital based now. I'm good at social media, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. And then people keep asking you to help them with this, and then you realize actually I can do a whole lot more than just photography. And even with the nursery that I have, I discovered that I could take pictures of little children, and it's not something everybody can do. The patience required to...
Do you remember that? My now... He's going to be 11 in 2 days' time. Was one of actually Nim's
first jobs.
So like you took my child as a guinea pig.
Basically.
Like you maximize your talent. Like
exactly.
You saw potentially something there.
It was good. I enjoyed doing it. And then I guess when you start, it's your friends and family.
No, of course.
Absolutely.
So exactly, that's what happened.
And I think
well, if you have friends and family, that have sense.
Exactly.
I'm just saying. It just goes to show that if you're stepping out to run a business, just do make sure that you have people around you who will support you. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because you can't just assume that, oh yeah, your friends are family.
My back. Yeah, because they can be they can be your greatest asset and your greatest downfall.
Absolutely.
Because it's just like, oh, they support everything you do. It's nice everything, but then like no.
Yeah.
So I love the family members that tell you like it is, like, guy, your head is big, so don't do this.
Absolutely.
And you are an entrepreneur at the moment, at that time. So
so exactly. You are the anomaly in this, what they call it, time we are in.
So what's funny about that is part of my success in the corporate world is precisely because I have that entrepreneurial
No.
mindset. I know you are very much looking at problems from sort of a holistic point of view. Because when you're a solopreneur, and I think you want to make the distinction sometimes between being a solopreneur, i.e. you're your own MD, your own accountant, your own marketing director, or you are an entrepreneur with a pool of investment, with a support structure, with a board that you're answerable to. And that's the position I like myself in now. And it's funny because Seun and I have actually had this conversation. It's the same work. And for me, that's actually the critical thing about it that I found, which is I don't work less hard. 9 to 5, that very word makes me laugh, or that phrase, because I don't ever not work. But I will say that almost my whole life, I wanted to be someone who got to choose the work that I did. And so for a long time I ran away from what I thought was the only way the corporate world could be, because I thought, much like what Seun was saying, was you had to do it, once you're a portfolio manager, then that's what you're doing.
No room to.
So I really do think that the workplace itself has evolved globally. The idea that you are a personal brand or you're a personal sort of repository of talents is a very real thing. So wherever you are,
they have to be
even in the corporate world, you have people that they know that, okay, this lady is our marketing director, but she also does this on the side, and she does this on the side, and we no longer view those things as threats, because we're starting to recognize that it's that multiplicity of talents that actually.
So it's the enhancement.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I like that. So I like that part that you shouldn't feel threatened by it, unless I guess it's direct.
Absolutely, and I think that's where sort of corporate governance and terms and conditions come in. That's where you have the legal protections. You don't set up the same business as your
try and jack all the clients.
Exactly.
And duplicitous. But I think if you're doing something that is complementary or those are just the things that actually add to making you who you are.
And I think it even helps you even get better at what you're doing.
Productive.
Exactly, because you're managing in these multiple things. It's a fantastic thing. So where would you say this entrepreneurial spirit might have come from? Was it your parents? Were your parents, either of your parents entrepreneurs? They worked or solopreneurs, or they worked clock in, clock out?
So I was going to say that the funny thing about me is that, my dad is a medical doctor, but he made the bulk of his money doing ancillary businesses to that, and one of which was he called himself a consultant, and he would say that a consultant will take your watch, tell you the time, and then give you a bill for telling you the time.
Watch on your wrist.
Exactly.
I like that.
And that approach so he was a medical doctor, but he made a lot of money supplying hospitals with medical equipment and helping them design sort of wards and things like that. So you start to recognize that you will have one specialty, and it's what Enimien was saying as well, which is you'll start something and you realize that there are other things,
other elements of it.
Now, depending on what kind of corporate structure you're in, it might be a situation where you can pitch it and you and your organization can do it together. That's, if you're very fortunate, if you're in a nimble organization. If you're in a big sort of complex hierarchical place, that might not be possible. And so then maybe you go and do your little thing on the side, side hustle. But I think it would be very naive, or I think the elephant in the room for Seun, Enimien, and I is that we happen to be mothers.
Yes.
And I really do think that what that particular journey takes you on is there's a seasonality to certain things as well. When I look at where I am now, the irony is that I didn't know it at the time, but my time in solopreneurship was actually the time between my two children, who happened to be 7 years apart. Before my first son, I was working proper 9 to 5. Afterwards, I didn't. And then when my second son was 9 months old, I jumped into another project, and I thought it was a project, a short-term project, and it's become like I'm now doing this. I've been doing this for almost 4 years. So there's something about the way you look back and realize that, hey, it was almost like life was helping you to navigate.
Yeah, the chart, the course charted itself.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, there's something about owning your seasons as well. I think that's something that we don't do well as women or as Nigerians. Just understanding that there's seasons, and there's certain times when you do have to step back, and there's certain times when you can't go back, whatever. But just understanding that there are seasons, and they will make sense eventually. You know what I mean?
And I think additionally, another elephant in the room, because it's something I'm becoming increasingly aware of, is privilege. We're sitting here again in very, very privileged circumstances. In that, we were educated enough to have this multiplicity of skills. We were raised in permissive enough environments where it was okay. So my mother is a medical doctor. She's an ophthalmologist. She has sold biscuits. She does landscaping. She she has done
she's
the
put the work
whole
in.
gamut of stuff. That's why she and Seun get on really well. Like they talk about like all their different. They're both doctors and they talk about all their different hustles. So again, that being that environment where you are allowed for your talents to flourish, of enjoyment rather than survival.
Yes.
It's also like a real thing.
Yeah.
Because if you are scrabbling for an existence, you probably don't have the perspective or luxury
to do all
to
that.
try things.
I think for me, the entrepreneurial spirit came from my parents, because my dad was working in New Nigerian Bank for the longest time, and then he came to Lagos and was working in banking industry, and then he started his bank with a few friends, and then that bank thing happened. I don't know if you guys remember.
Many bad things have happened.
Which one?
Well, the very first one,
First one. And then he veered off completely into something different, and he's been doing his own business since then. And then my mom has had her tailoring business ever since we were young, and it was just behind, it's the house and then the BQ at the back, and she was making clothes for people, so we always had access to her, and she'd be like, I'm at work.
No, you're behind the house.
So I think I picked that up, the creativity from her, and then the entrepreneurship spirit as well. And when I was doing my MBA, it was an entrepreneurship MBA, but then I didn't have the courage to start a business right after. I was like, I need to work for a while.
Dropped your CV in the pool.
Exactly, kind of understand how business works before I venture out and start doing what.
Go on.
As I was talking, I was trying to think where I don't know. No, that's the truth. I don't know. My dad was in. I can't call it a 9 to 5. My dad was in customs. I can't call it a 9 to 5.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a
it was a public servant. Yes. My mom was in 9 to 5 initially before she started her business, but I didn't think I would ever be an entrepreneur. Okay. I was always very career focused, and I mean, I have a PhD in finance. There's no entrepreneur in this thing. You know what I mean? I remember when I left investment banking, my dad didn't speak to me for a whole year. He just thought, you're going to go and do a what? And at the time, one of the things I was doing was I became an event planner. And he just thought, what?
Yeah.
He did one of those Nigerian daddy things of, this child has killed me.
Yeah.
How do you go from finance to serving rice at a party? Daddy, I'm not serving, I don't care. That's what you're doing. So I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur, but now I almost can't
see yourself.
I think I may go back when my kids are much older, and when I feel like when I find something that I can, that gives me the flexibility to do all of the multiple things that I do. But until then,
I think one mustn't underestimate just how much cumulative knowledge you also.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So you're 10, 15 years out of school. You've worked in so many different, you've interacted with so many different industries. So sometimes you're sitting there, there's this meme that's been going around now that just because it takes me 30 minutes to do something, it takes me 30 minutes because it took me 10 years to learn how to do it. So you still have to pay for that level.
For my expertise,
For that expertise. And what is happening is we are beginning to recognize, because back to what you were saying about how cultures evolve and cultural shifts, we are beginning to recognize that we are individual repositories of this knowledge and this expertise, and it's applicable across so many different things.
Absolutely. I mean, disclaimer for anybody watching: entrepreneurship is hard. You have this thing of, let me just go and start my business. I'm in control of my time. I don't have to answer to anyone.
It's so much harder.
And beyond that, though, I think also it's a response to, structural deficits within our ecosystem. There aren't enough of well-paid, satisfying, progressive jobs out there.
Absolutely.
When most of us here started working, you had the choice of the telcos, the finance companies, and oil and gas, and that's it. So places like advertising and law were not paying anything commensurate to sort of anything real. So you struggled with, I'm going to do all this work, because this is my thing about this working of a thing. Whatever work
she said, working of a thing.
What would you call it? This is working of a thing.
It is work. It is not fun. As parents, it's the first thing you're teaching your children. You're teaching them about homework. You're teaching them, look, mommy has to work right now. After she finishes working, then she can play. And it really does sort of sometimes suck, because you realize this is it. I'm going to be working forever. And no matter what it is, no matter how much you love it, no matter how good at it you are, there's going to be the bits that are tedious, that are tiring. So if you think one is going to solve some magical problems that the other won't, nah.
Yeah, but I think that there's something about us when we push this entrepreneurship narrative, like, this is the only way, you have to quit your job, but there's some people who
can balance both.
No,
right?
This entrepreneur life is not for you.
No. It's very
and there are a lot of people, and you should exactly, if you recognize that, just stay in your 9 to 5 and climb up the ladder very slowly and carefully and whatever.
If you
but
are anal about a work-life balance, then the 9 to 5 is almost better for you.
Absolutely, because there's no,
The entrepreneur is 24/7.
It's 24/7.
I'll be sending some people WhatsApp messages over the weekend. They're like, sorry, I switch off my WhatsApp at the weekend because I don't want my office to reach me. I'm like, what you saying? Because again, like I said, that is the mindset, one that I grew up with and that I live. This idea, and it's funny, maybe it's unhealthy, but it is my reality, and my children understand now that we can have a plan. And then I will say, sorry, that plan is no longer
a plan.
Life has happened.
I will make it up to you or not.
But I mean, that's work, because that's another negotiation. You see, there you are negotiating with the kids.
And letting them understand. So the first thing you do is let people understand the link between working, money, and treats, nice things. So,
except that's quite hard in this our generation, because people have money and they don't work. So it's kind of, what I mean, like it's
select your circles.
It's kind of because
because so can I get instances?
So one of the things that I do is I teach finance, I teach money management, and I teach it to children, right?
When you say children, what age?
From 4. You have to teach your children money. And one of the things I say is teach your children the value of hard work. And the only way you can teach your children the value of hard work is when they see you working. Exactly. I remember one of the classes that I had, and some boy, must have been about 6 or something, got up and said to me, well, we have a lot of money and my daddy doesn't work.
Oh, wow.
But does he know that?
This is why you need to watch what you're telling your children.
I know his daddy.
In front of your children.
I know that his daddy doesn't work.
Oh, wow. So he went lying.
So I know that he's going to go.
So the difference between inherited money, assumed money, borrowed money.
That's my point. So and stolen money,
working money,
the money the monkey ate, or was it like
exactly?
Gorilla.
So
also the one I think there was
the snake. Yeah. All these animals.
So
Wildlife.
hungry.
So yeah, so my point is, it's
jungle.
kind of it's. I mean that's now gone left, but
Yeah.
anyway, bottom line of it is, Sha, I really, I really wanted to stay on track today.
I apologize. But that's the shock to the system that happens.
Yeah,
in this
but
space.
I'm just really, it's important that we stop pushing this narrative of entrepreneurship is the way to go.
Yeah.
We all can be entrepreneurs. We all have to work for some of us have to work for someone. You can also be an entrepreneur and just grow in whatever company that you're working for. But I think
where there's no job.
no, that's completely different. That's completely different because then you can't.
Because you have to then. So I'm talking about people who you are saying now that they can't be. You don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, but there's no job, and you have to put food on the table. You have to develop the entrepreneurial spirit. It's not jiggered. Like I don't know if it's something that you're born with. Yes,
I don't think that you're. But I think that anything, hard work, integrity, whatever, is stuff that you build
over time,
Yes.
right? And I don't think that anybody is just born. Oh, you're an entrepreneur. Go and do
I
it.
think some people have a natural flair.
They do, but they still have to work at building themselves.
Yeah.
It's just the same way I say if you're lazy if you're lazy in your 9-to-5
Yes.
job, you're going to be a lazy entrepreneur. There are no,
I think one distinction that one makes sometimes is the difference between hustle, selling, because a lot of people are buying and selling, and they are referring to that as entrepreneurship. Which, and this is not me. I'm not like throwing shade or it's not. I'm not
it's okay.
jogging on it.
Call
What
it
I'm
a
saying is, there's to qualify as an entrepreneur means that you will accept that at some point you're going to start putting some structures into whatever it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, so I always say that when you're running the business, you also have to define what kind of business you're running. There are people who are running a lifestyle business, no structure, but that's okay as long as you know that is what you're doing. Do you get what I mean? No structure. If I wake up today and I feel like, even if it's buying and selling, right? If I wake up today and I feel like posting my stuff up on Instagram, I do it. If I don't feel like it, it's okay, right? But you cannot call that a business because there's no structure to it. If you're not there, the business doesn't run.
Absolutely.
But it is also owning that, there's some of my, some businesses that I own, and I tell everybody it's a lifestyle business. If I don't feel like producing new clothes this season, I won't do it. You know what I mean? But, just to buttress what you're saying, you do have to have those structures in place such that the business can run when you're not there. Otherwise, it's...
Yeah, because it's one of the interesting things I've always thought about. When we talk about this entrepreneurship versus corporate, like pretty much most corporates might have started from that point.
That's
it. So
absolutely.
you start at that point,
And I'm not saying everybody has to do that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, your business or your entrepreneurship journey done correctly, it may never scale to be 100 people.
I even think scaling is a scam for some people.
Because
you do have to understand, more money,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
like I don't, one of my projects is a fleet and vehicle and
like transport.
And every time I'm having headaches, I think about what like a Dangote or like a wholesale trucking company that's doing. I'm thinking if I'm having these issues just with this fleet of 60 assets, what are people with 600 assets? What are people with 6,000 assets doing? Because truly everything is bigger. So the issues of fraud are bigger, the issues of theft, the issues of driver negligence, poor driving, drunk driving, there's every kind of driving.
Everything is
amplified, exactly,
Everything is amplified.
And I think because of where we are, we're very digital now. Everything is, you have to scale up, you have to do this, you have to instant gratification. You start your business today and you want to break even tomorrow. You feel like everybody feels like exactly. So
what they call it, forming busy with makeup. That's the thing. Like they've glamorized forming busy. So you just we're a big company. We have but what are they all doing? What is everybody? Your overheads must be.
There has to be. You have to give that time for a business to grow, and I think people are getting frustrated. They start a business today and it's not doing well. 1 year down the line, you're like, it's just not.
It's not even 1 year. I speak to people and I'm like, how old is your business? They're like 4 months.
Yeah, you start on Friday, you must hammer by Monday.
It's not going to happen.
Dude.
It's actually not going to happen.
Because so you have all these. You have like that. I don't know if it's a problem or like, motivational talks and things like so. All these seminars, webinars.
Let's not.
You know,
Today,
but- so-
today is not the day.
I know, yeah. But I mean,
No,
people
but
go
you
to
see,
them.
Today
but
is not
he's
the day.
right,
Yeah.
because I think they are the
When they
people
give
with the most
you
poisonous
you
minds.
have to you have to
for someone else
yeah.
to
give me a
drink.
quote, give me a quote.
Exactly.
You have
Fulfill your
to
own.
Those quotes,
that's
yes,
one of the
that-
ones that, are you going to be like a slave? Are you going to, you know, they turn this idea of being a diligent and diligent and skilled employee into being like a
Like
dirty
being an
worker.
employee,
Absolutely.
exactly. Being an
Yeah.
employee is a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
But when you have a business, you have employees.
Exactly.
What's-
And you
where
want
you
them
going
to
find
be
people to
diligent
work
and you
for
want
you?
them to work for you and
Look.
you want them to treat your business
Yeah, because
like
As-
their
like
own.
their own,
So
yeah.
this
Exactly.
idea that we're not going to have that period of stewardship or
No.
apprenticeship, you know, you think about all the big major professions today. Before there were universities, you learned all these things as an apprentice.
Yeah.
Apprentice lawyer, apprentice doctor. You know, like this is how you learn. You literally learn from someone else.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when it became bad to spend time learning or spend
When
time
did that happen, right?
practicing or doing, I'm a bit confused.
Like it's,
Yeah.
it's
Even-
a snap.
Even in
society.
employment, you're going to start at a certain pay
Yeah.
grade
And work
and a certain
hard
level and
to
just
get
get
it right. It's-
absolutely.
It's about the work you put
And I
in,
think
that's
now
how
it's
you
it's
rise.
just so like even, and this started when I was even still in banking. Even to find people to actually work, like good staff. Hey,
Good help is hard to find, right?
Yeah,
There's
so-
no Instagram then.
and there was no Instagram then. There
Now,
was
you know, they're looking at other people's Instagram.
I believe in the hype.
I
Like,
believe they have, but then so you start to wonder, like, you know,
how
and
did
I think
you-
that's
how
part
did
of
you
that.
get
That's part
there?
of the bigger picture. That's part of the bigger problem. Like you look at someone who's running the same business as you're running, and look. If your mind is not strong, Instagram will mess you up. Social media will mess you up. It will make you feel like a complete failure.
comparison is the thief of joy.
Absolutely. You know,
Absolutely.
and you're there thinking, I sell the same thing as this person. This
They're
person
not gonna
sells.
tell you
How
what
is it that I
to
can't
do.
afford all of these things that they afford? But
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah, I mean, I can stand in front of a private jet. Do I own the private jet? Questionable.
One of my favorite things, though, is because in my 7-year sort of, I was an event planner. I owned an event space. I smiled today when I drove in because we would have probably done something like this at my place before, you know. And what struck me was when I went into the corporate world, I started seeing so many people that actually did have corporate hustles, but they don't talk about those. So they talk. So this is the thing: like you present one face,
Ah, wow. There's a
and then
whole
you're
other-
keeping the other things. And I thought to myself, this is why you must never, ever,
ever,
ever compare yourself to people.
Yeah.
Because you
Absolutely.
see
Yeah.
someone and you're thinking, this babe is doing events like me.
What?
As she has.
Yeah,
And you find out that, nah,
yeah,
she has a complete other thing that is paying her in dollars.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you have been
It's
looking,
true, yeah.
thinking that, no,
I remember when Tolagbe and I were in that industry at the same time. I remember we sit down. So we both had a reputation in the industry for turning down work. If it didn't align with our spirits, we're just like,
This
nope,
is-
not going to do it. I think a lot of people were confused about it because we were like,
Money.
Why?
Yeah,
but then we had other
things that you're doing. Like,
other things that we're doing and other sources of income. So if you're thinking, oh, this person is making money from event planning and you wanted to come and be an event planner, you'd be like,
and it goes right back to what you're saying, those multiple streams.
Yeah.
Don't limit yourself in that one space as in like that.
But even with not limiting yourself, there's something she said that's interesting is that it's not every job that is for you as well.
Oh, clear.
So even within your entrepreneurship space, it's not every client that comes that you need to service because
but
because if you do not
it's so hard for
use
people to say
discernment
no.
to decide,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think,
and
yeah,
the
that's
pressure can make
key.
you want to take every single job that comes in.
Even in the corporate space, they found that like saying no there as well. Because I mean, you sign a contract, there's a job description, and authority figures will always take. I mean, sometimes it's literally taking advantage because I can. Other times maybe they feel, oh, you might be good in this, but there's that. Like I think that's the very thing that people learning how to that sense of discernment.
Yeah.
When to say no, when to fall back.
Exactly.
Seasonal, like you said. 'Cause
Yeah.
social media seems to just be like.
It will
and
mess
the
you.
idea of
Like
the,
the-
I think there's the idea of a fit, you know,
Yeah.
because Seun mentioned that when she talked about her brief return to
Yeah.
the corporate world. You see, this idea that you need to, I think it's really important, but again, it's a luxury and it's a privilege
of course.
to be able to say, I'm going to find the things that fit
Fit me. Yeah.
But ultimately, you are serving yourself, your total development, it's taking us back to this idea of what constitutes a balance.
Yeah.
Because that is part of the balance, like what will be the fit. Do you mind sort of being on the phone at 6:30 on a Saturday morning, as I have been this morning? Building a team that understand that this is how we work. We work around the clock. Because sometimes we have to, not all the time, but there are times when if a task needs to get done, and I don't see that is any different whether you're in 9 to 5 or which we've established is not 9 to 5, or when you're
the umbrella is work. It's work. So there's a saying, I mean, it's been around for a while, I don't know how long exactly, but it's like, collaboration is the new competition. But do we find that these collaborations are actually happening? Because I feel everybody's just so guarded. Like, I beg, it's like, no way in school, don't giraffe, like, you do it, it's my own, like, there's a lot of room for everybody to play. Like, is there? Are you okay?
I'm good. Carry on.
So the thing is, of course there is.
But
one of the things I do is I run a peer networking group for women, right? Peer mentoring and peer networking. The idea being that there's a lot to learn from people who are walking the same journey as yourself. There aren't enough fancy big mentors out there, so you better focus on the people that you can collaborate with and draw strength from. And so yes, for sure, collaborations are a very important component of business success, but they do rely on you being very aware of your strengths, your weaknesses, and your liabilities to a certain extent, because the tendency is to run to people that are exactly the same as you. I think collaborations that are the most successful require some imagination.
Let's get creative with it.
You have to be creative with it so that you're sure there are no areas of conflict. Because that is often what will happen. You'll encroach on each other's turf. And that's when people say, oh no, it doesn't work, women don't support women. It's not true. I think you just need to be, and that's another topic.
There's something bubbling.
Collaborations, you have to be very strategic. And I read something just yesterday about how important it is to make sure that your agreements and your legal stuff is
on point,
properly defined. Especially so that relationships don't get sapped through collaboration.
I say often that the true currency in life is relationships.
Absolutely.
Whatever you're doing, business, family, everything, is those relations. That's that's what takes you further. So and business is cutthroat wherever you are. But can we all just get along?
But there's
even more so in Nigeria,
building a community. And when Tolagbe was talking about solopreneurship, a lot of people are just doing their businesses by themselves. They have nobody to talk to, nobody to interact with.
Is that by choice?
It's not really by. I don't know if it's by choice.
Well,
sometimes you don't know people who are doing the same thing as you, and maybe you have kids and this and that, so you don't really have the time as well.
Doing something that you don't know anybody doing. So should we go back to that's another question?
Yeah, because
like for real, then
because you have to know.
Let's say none of your friends are solopreneurs.
Okay, everybody.
So everybody's working, or some the people that in
and it might be from you not finding a job.
I'm not doing exactly. So you decide, okay, I want to become I want to start building websites, and then I'm trying to run my business. But if you know other people who are running businesses, like you said, it doesn't have to be somebody who's running a website. But
so just running business.
Exactly. So you have someone who is similarly doing what you are doing, so that you guys can. And I'm not talking about the business. I'm talking about the fact that you're both solopreneurs, so that you can kind of bounce ideas off each other. Which is why I started that.
The group,
the mastermind group, where there are people who are on their own. They need an avenue to chat and to discuss things. So I think that's
that's the so through my networking group, it started as a monthly coffee morning, because for that reason that sometimes you just want a space where you can be like, you're not all the other things you are. You're not a client, you're not a boss, you're not a vendor, you're just yourself, and you can share exactly the the business challenges, and you find out, of course, that the challenges are universal,
Yeah.
regardless of sector.
Problem.
Or even if it's not, at least someone will have an answer for you, or
how do I put systems in
Yeah,
place?
connect the
How do I-
dots, yeah.
And people have gone on shopping trips together, they've gone on buying trips together, they've brought in goods, they've done sort of actual business collaborations as a result, because that's what you're trying to do, find this sense of community, which is, interestingly enough, trying to replicate the sense of community that you do have in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And a lot of young people, trying to enter business and being guarded. I mean, you find that a lot of the most successful people find how they work together. I mean, there was Warren Buffett and Bill Gates at one time. Bringing it down home, there was a wedding, I can't remember whose wedding it was, but one of those prominent weddings, and there were two event managers working together. So, and I know a few years ago, that would have almost been unheard of. Or maybe if you pay attention to social media, stuff like that can happen. As in, it just comes. So, I mean, like, so it comes back to, I guess, me saying that there's space.
yeah.
I think there's space, but it's being, there's a lot of things, I mean, strategy, timing, and I think mutual respect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's gray area, like you said, where somebody just wants to be shady, or somebody's
And
like
we're a bunch of shady people.
We're a bunch of
I will argue for skill, though, because
Yeah.
it's something that I've learned in this recent, because I'm not working less hard, right? I'm not working harder. I'm working just as hard as I've always worked. But the potentials, the revenues, because they're not on mine. It's bigger. The number of people.
That's where it always starts. Sharing money. That's where problems start.
The people that you're able to employ, the lives that you're able to touch.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying about people collaborating. I feel that one of the advantages of collaborating is you get to think bigger.
And you pool your resources.
And you pool resources together.
So it's efficiency.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I look at certain industries, I don't want to mention any names, and I look at 3 companies and I think, oh my God, this person has such huge strengths in this, and if they could come together
It would be amazing.
and just become one big company, they'll literally take over that industry.
Personalities. And
I don't like that's my here with you, but I find that men do that more easily than women.
for
do.
sure.
That's one thing that I just don't like. Women.
Because men don't have problems. Women.
Oh, we do.
No, what I mean is that they're less emotional about work or about doing stuff or about collaborating.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, because I mean, there was this
Women are just hard.
women groups popping up and everything. Someone's asking where the men's group there, and I said on WhatsApp.
And this is so. You see, I'll say something else. I started So Connected as a reaction
To
a specific incident. 2 guys that I know wanted to do something together. They used me as the referee. So they called and said, this is what we want to do. I'm doing this with chap A. Chap B called and said, no, I'm doing this. And they went off and did it. And my argument was, if I were a guy, they would have had to involve me in what they were doing. And I was like, look, I don't like boys. And so
but I find that increasingly women are working together. It's still, I mean, we're still getting there, but I find that with all the talking and the women empowerment and the communities that we're building, I do believe that.
And people are realizing that you can be very strategic about it as well, you should be very strategic about it, and you should. So this idea that you can tender for work using, because what makes me laugh now is you're in the corporate world and you're like, but this thing they are doing is one proposal, right? Seun has said Seun is doing the numbers, and Enimien is doing the photography and the digital marketing, and Tolagbe is doing the strategy and the talking, right? And they've quickly gone to go and register a company together, and they've called it Seun Names Talk
or something.
And we've all chopped it. It's really it is, when you get down to the basics of it, that's what it is, right? But they don't, I feel like the so-called sort of big people just don't let the minutiae get in the way. They just do it, and then because it's like you open the newspapers or you look at a tender you say to yourself, oh, I'm not qualified
For it, yes.
right?
Yeah.
I only meet 40% of the requirements.
Meanwhile, you get some.
But in your circle, you
Meanwhile,
could
in
probably
your circle,
find
you could pull like the
Yeah.
other
resources together.
60% of the requirements
Absolutely.
and put them together for the bid.
Yeah.
But that requires recognizing that you don't meet all the criteria,
Yeah.
humbling yourself to go meet someone else, trusting them to not
Run with your ideas.
So you see,
Yeah.
there's so many
There's so many
steps
steps,
involved
yeah.
that you can
Absolutely.
understand why people don't go for
Yeah.
bigger things.
Absolutely.
Because really, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like my uncle said to me one time, like, if you see a man who's just built a building and he goes like, oh, that yeah, I want to do ACs. Do you do ACs? You say yes.
Then
You have no
find
clue. You
somebody
go say
that
yes,
does
then
it.
you go
You
find
find.
that man that does ACs and you guys
you're
broker
like,
that
dude,
deal and do that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I guess, I mean,
Absolutely.
bringing it home, we can say really it's about work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's
9 to 5
the
or
fictitious 9 to 5, because I mean, even in a place like Nigeria, when they hire is 8:30
it's
to 5:30.
no, it's
I
5
think-
to 9.
No, yeah, well, you know, exactly.
Yeah, it's
5
5 to
a.m.
9.
Because, yeah, exactly. So there's that entrepreneurship, solopreneurship, all these things. It's just about doing good work, doing quality work, doing your research, finding out, some people have stumbled into work. I guess some people have been lucky they've stumbled into things they want to do. Like, I mean, I won't call yours stumbling into, but like, anybody else could have been, oh, I love taking photos. I just got a camera,
Just
just
got a
continue
camera,
taking photos.
But
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
stumbling.
It's stumbling.
Yeah.
I get, yeah, to a certain
What
extent. yeah.
happens, and that's the whole word serendipity, is how you discover something that
Yeah.
you're looking for that turns out for the best.
Exactly. So,
And it's really in this evolving digital world, that's all you can do. Prepare yourself for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Success is preparedness meeting opportunity. You're never
Right.
gonna,
I like
you
that.
won't even see the opportunity
If you're not
for
prepared.
it.
Absolutely.
And whether that's in the corporate world, whether it's in the 9 to 9 world, whether
Yeah.
it's in the 24/7
World, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
world.
And one of the big things for me, and I say this when people come to me and say, oh, you know, I want to quit my 9 to 5. The first step, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you are an entrepreneur, is to make sure that you are not working for an idiot. Am I allowed to say that?
yeah, you have to say this, you're true.
As an entrepreneur, make sure that you are not working for an idiot, i.e., you are not an idiot.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just got it.
Very important. Very important, because you just getting back to what television. You can feel like, oh, I know everything, I can do everything. I'm my own accountant, I'm my own. I can file my taxes, I can do, and then
Okay.
Then what?
then what?
I mean,
You know.
guys, this has been fantastic. I mean, like, I like where we've come to. Like, you know, 9 to 5. It's not a competition, really. Or if it is a competition, it's with yourself.
Yeah.
And for the best outcome, get the right team. That
Absolutely.
right team might be you solo. Like, it's New Edition. I mean, they break up and come back together time and time again. So see work the same way, guys. You've heard it here. I mean, like, not an expert. I'm a curious guy. That's why I do this. I want information, and I go to those who are better set up than I am, and hopefully you guys pick something from it as well. Because I do this for the culture, and I'll keep trying to do that. See you next time. Yes.